Ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cito Beltran. Welcome to the program Agenda. You are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250 or on Facebook, One News PH Facebook, One News PH YouTube. Welcome to the program. Today is August 17, 2020. It's a Monday, and we have a lineup of very interesting guests this morning because we will be talking about the transportation set up in the country. Well, mostly for the land-based transportation, because there are certain things that many of us did not know, and I think our guest will be telling us about that. He is none other than Congressman Representative Edgar Erice of the 2nd District of Caloocan. Medyo matagal na pong nanggigigil si Ed Erice dito sa mga issue on transport because marami sa mga kanyang nasasakupan, many of his constituents are office workers, factory workers who need to commute. And apparently, it's not as simple as it is said to be. Then we will speak to the president of the Management Association of the Philippines. And kung nagtataka kayo, ano yung Management Association? Well, they're one of the most vocal organizations who lobbied para makontra yung proposal ng mga congressman na magkaroon ng moratorium sa pautang, because a number of representatives wanted under Bayanihan 2 for the law. Actually, it would be a law that there will be a moratorium sa lahat ng mga pautang, primarily mortgages, car loans, etc., for 365 days or 1 year. Kumbaga, 1 year, wala, freeze the ball. Wala munang mga penalty. Ewan ko kung walang bayad, utang muna for 1 year. Pero pumalag si Finance Secretary Sani Dominguez and who said 45 days. May mga nagsabi naman 30 days lang. And the Management Association of the Philippines came up with their own version of 60 days. Let's find out, kasi sabi ng mga tiga MAP, they claim that if we follow the 300, so kaming lonely fathers kasi our daughters are both, I don't know, I think she still is, I think Andrew's daughter is still studying abroad. Mine just left last night. Yes, I am home alone. Sumama na pati asawa ko para mag-babysit. In any case, that's an interesting story there for itself. Nakakaalis po. People are able to leave the country, students primarily and foreigners, not Filipinos, sorry. Kasi walang nagbibigay ng visa, walang nagbibigay ng travel insurance. So tayong mga Pilipino, tayong mga native, local, hindi naman, hindi ako nalalait, nagpapatawa lang po ako, no? Kasi hindi, malungkot na buhay eh, magpatawa naman tayo. The Filipinos still can't travel abroad because unless someone will give you a visa and a travel insurance, you're not going to be able to go. However, foreigners are able to go, and I understand pati estudyante kasi contractual obligation din yun. At saka siyempre, kung naka-enroll na, hindi naman pwedeng hindi bumiyahe. In any case, hopefully we'll get to talk to the airport manager about that sometime this week. What's the situation at the NAIA? In any case, let's go to the headlines. Here are the stories from the front page of the Philippine Star. 6 PhilHealth regional vice presidents file leaves of absence as the investigation into alleged anomalies in the agency continues. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque confirmed the development. This comes after Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara urged officials to step down for the time being as Senate, House, and various task forces look into the allegations of corruption in PhilHealth. Next story, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the government is ramping up its contact tracing efforts as the number of infections continue to surge. Anyo said aggressive contact tracing could be a game changer in the fight against COVID-19. He says this 5 months into the pandemic, currently the government has 85,000 contact tracers and is looking to hire 50,000 more to meet the World Health Organization's ideal ratio of one tracer for every 800 people. Incidentally, Secretary Anyo is once again positive for COVID-19. He believes he got it a few days ago, and he is now on quarantine, self-quarantine once again. Next up, over 135,000 Filipinos have been repatriated by government amid the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the Foreign Affairs Department. Last week alone, over 10,000 Filipinos have been brought home. They came from various countries such as United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Israel, Brazil, Japan, India, Canada, and the United States. Unfortunately, over 600 of these Filipinos who have returned from abroad tested positive for COVID-19. They are now confined in quarantine facilities. And the final news, the Pharmaceutical Healthcare Association of the Philippines, or PHAP, is calling on government to consider other approaches to improve access to medicines instead of merely having price caps or price control. In a statement, PHAP requests the government to look at alternatives like subsidies, price negotiation, and pooled procurement. PHAP elaborates that these options, particularly price negotiation, in which government negotiates and buys medicines on behalf of citizens, could help bring prices of medicine down. And that is actually a very timely call. Kung magtataka kayo, bakit ngayon lang manghihingi ng ibang paraan ang PHAP? Well, you know, no business has been spared by COVID-19 and the global pandemic. And even the pharmaceutical companies are feeling the hit because people aren't going to hospitals, people aren't going to pharmacies, etc. They are scared, okay? And that's what's happening out there. So I think it's about time, you know, that government and the private sector in the pharmaceuticals sit down and have a word and say, how do we work around this? In any case, today we will start our interview with beginning with Congressman Ed Erice. Pero bago ko po umpisahan yung ating kasi papakita ko lang itong picture na ito, no? Ayan, meron na ng mga ambulansya na tumama sa concrete barrier dyan sa EDSA. And I don't know if I should have shown that picture because I'm sure that would irritate Congressman Erice to no end. Let's welcome the representative of the 2nd District of Caloocan City, Congressman Edgar Egay Erice. Kong,
Good morning, Sito. Good morning.
good morning. I hope hindi ka naman nairitan doon sa pinakita kong picture because I know you're one of those who are very vocal and critical of the bus lane, particularly the concrete barriers. Anyway, let's go to our discussion for today. Guessing game tayo eh. We don't know if we are going to be continuing under MECQ because that is the line the president has always been saying we cannot extend MECQ. Pero there are some people who are speculating mag-GGCQ. Nonetheless, what do you think should be done or how should we carry on in whatever community quarantine status we reach as far as transportation is concerned?
Well, we've been meeting with the Department of Transportation and Development Authority for the past few months. I think every 2 weeks nagkakaroon kami ng meeting sa Metro Manila Development Committee chaired by Congressman Manny Lopez, and I was the senior vice chairman. At lagi kong pinupuna yung approach ng government pagdating sa transportation. Kasi nung ECQ, wala naman tayong magagawa lahat sapagkat all forms of transportation are allowed. But sa GCQ, binuksan natin yung economy by 50%. 30 to 50%. Tapos actually, we're going to 7% nung biglang nagkaroon ng spike ng cases of COVID. So bumalik tayo sa ECQ. But ang tinatanong ko sa kanila, how did you arrive with 14% opening of the transport industry? Kasi ang ginawa nila, binuksan nila 14% of all modes of transportation. 14% ng mga PUJs, nung mga modern jeepneys, tapos binan pa nila yung mga traditional jeepneys, ganun din yung mga provincial buses. So 14% lang actually yung nabuksan nung GCQ stage natin before the ECQ, the MECQ. So anong nangyari ngayon, binuksan na ng ekonomiya, walang masakyan yung mga tao. Walang masakyan. Practically, walang masakyan. Then after we fought for this, especially for the traditional jeepneys, binuksan nila 14 routes. So, nadagdagan ng konti, pero hindi pa rin enough. Kaya nga nakita natin, ang nangyayari, yung mga workers, naglalakad. Nagbabike, nagmamotorsiklo. Yung iba naman, nakikisakay. So, kumbaga sa law of supply and demand. Pagka konti yung transportation, magsisiksikan. Nakita naman natin, wala namang social distancing sa mga buses, sa mga jeepneys, dahil kulang na kulang. So ang sinasabi namin sa LTFRB at DOTR at MMDA, dapat mas maraming mode of transportation para may social distancing. So yun yung idea namin. So pinangako naman nila during our last meeting, si Secretary Togade mismo ang dumalo dun sa aming committee meeting. Sabi nila, they will compute kung gaano, when we return to GCQ, hopefully August 19, kukompute nila ilan yung workers na papasok at magbibigay sila ng sapat na bilang ng transport capacity sa ating mga kababayan. Yun ang huling pag-uusap namin. Hindi na katulad ng dati kasi ang sabi nila noon, health protocols ang sinunod nila, wala silang magagawa, ang IATF. Pero sabi ko naman nga sa kanila, sino ba mag-a-advise sa IATF kundi kayo? Kayo nakakaalam kung marami yung papasok, do you have the data? Dapat ganun din karami. Sabi nga namin, mga congressman ng Metro Manila, wag na sana maulit yung nakaraan na walang masakyan, maglalakad yung mga workers natin. At hindi talaga mabubuksan, lalong masisira ang ating ekonomiya kung walang maayos na transport. Hindi po pwedeng sinasabi nilang mga shuttles dahil lugi na nga yung mga kumpanya. Marami na nga nagsasabi. Tapos bibigyan mo pa ng additional expense. At nakita naman natin, yung ibang nag-provide ng shuttles, lalo nagkahawaan. Bakit? For example, they will be transporting 10, 12 employees. Wala nang social distancing. Wala nang health protocols.
Okay, Congressman, meron bang study? Did the government side present any scientific, any statistics, any real data, observed data on the ground? Kasi ang nagiging impression ng marami ay parang, sige meeting, anong tansya nyo? Anong estimate nyo? Ano kayang mamamanage natin? Parang haka-haka ang nagiging batayan ng policy.
None. Actually, we are the ones computing for them. We have, for example, ang sumasakay dyan sa EDSA, about 100,000 a day. So kung nagbukas yung economy ng 50%, then at least 300 or 200,000 na lang. So dapat yun ang yun ang transport capacity na i-provide ng government. Pero wala sila. Wala silang may sagot doon. So walang
Okay.
basic. Sinasabi lang nila mas importante yung health.
Okay, alam ko na I know you have been highly critical of this bus lane concept because one of your constituents died, I think, when this rider slammed into a metal barrier in Caloocan. Ngayon, observing EDSA as it is right now, kasi tayo naman, we're on the opposite ends. Ako naman, parang okay sa akin ang nangyayari. Although I have observed na parang nagtayo lang ng bus lane pero hindi nilinis yung general lane, so to speak, para alam mo kung saan ang motor, alam mo kung saan yung bicycle, pagkatas saan ang private cars. Kung susundin yung new ideas or new concepts, is EDSA being the main route ready, or are we just going to end up with more bodies on EDSA? Kasi parang parang hindi defined, parang kanya-kanya na naman at kulang na naman ang presence ng traffic enforcers.
Alam mo, Sito, this EDSA bus lane concept being implemented by the Department of Transportation is actually crazy. In fact, I am preparing to file a case against them if they will continue with this. It will compromise public safety. Alam mo, in 2016, the NEDA approved a BRT system for EDSA.
Yeah.
Merong ano yan, approved na yan ng NEDA, pinag-aralan niya ng mga experts sa inner lane, pero it will, yung infrastructure component niyan is about 40 billion. All over, meron namang BRT, yan ay isang effective means of transportation, yung BRT system. Pero yan, talagang pinag-aaralang mabuti yan. At meron na tayo dyan sa Pilipinas. Ang kailangan na lang i-implement. Kailangan dyan yung mga infrastructure na maayos. Talagang pinag-aaralan bawat kanto. Saka yung mga business niyan, ang pinto nasa kaliwa, hindi sa kanan. Hindi katulad sa atin sa kanan. So, during our site inspection tour with the MMDA and DOTR, tinanong ko sila, sabi ko, sino nagplano niyan? Sinong mga experts? Hindi naman nila masagot. Magkano yung budget? Hindi pa nga sila magkasundo kung magkano yung budget. So, sabi nila, mga 200 million. So, sabi ko, you're trying to replicate a system which will cost 40 billion with a 200 million budget. Eh di palpak na yan. At nakita ko naman, sabi ko, I can pinpoint several portion of your infrastructure na talagang delikado sa public. Sinabi ko sa kanila na pag-isipan yung mabuti. Saka bakit ini-implement nyo na hindi pa naman tapos. Wala pa kayong maliwanag na direksyon, ini-implement nyo na. Para nagmamadali sila. So,
but what happened to the original plan, Congressman? Kasi I know of that plan. I know the ADB people had an actual plan. There was a loan made available. World Bank, ADB, the Japanese came into play. Pati nga San Miguel Corporation, if I'm not mistaken, they were about to get into it kung hindi nag-umpisa itong COVID na ito. Ano nangyari sa plano?
So I was part of the Committee on Transportation then. Talagang 2016, approve na yan ng NEDA. So pwede nang implement ng government anytime. Pwede na yan. Problema, hindi nga na-implement. So ngayon, ginagawa nila, kumbaga sa parang hindi ko alam kung nag-experiment sila. Sabi ko nga sa kanila, trial and error ang ginagawa nyo sa EDSA. Sabi nila, hindi. Pero napatunayan natin dahil naglagay sila ng metal barriers dun sa ilang portion ng EDSA, dun sa mga bus stations. Nakita ko mga 4 days kung pinagmamasa, sabi ko, it's an accident waiting to happen. After 4 days, may namatay. Tapos nagbigay sila ng mga barriers sa EDSA, mga concrete barriers, at nakita naman natin there were already 70
Yeah.
accidents.
Yeah.
70. At
Okay.
alam mo, ang number one, pagdating sa public infrastructure, public transport, number one dyan, public safety. Di ba? Yun ang importante, yung kaligtasan ng mga mananakay. Pero kita mo, bababa dun sa kanan. Sa kanan bababa. Sa gitna, EDSA, precisely, dun sa, basically, dun sa gitna ng EDSA bababa, yung mga pasahero. Kaya nilagyan nila ng barriers. Pagkatapos lalakad, papunta dun sa mga footbridges, about 200 meters, aakyat mga 3-story high, tapos tatawid. So, yung mga senior citizens, yung mga PWD, lahat yan, marginalized na dito sa sistema na
Okay.
ito.
Congressman, kasi ayoko naman na, ayoko.
Teka infrastructure. Teka infrastructure. Yan
Okay.
yung how can a metropolitan area with a 14 million population would do such thing?
Okay, teka muna, Congressman, ha? Relax ka lang, ha? Ne, ang tanong ko, kasi I don't want to carry on with the program na puro tayo criticism. Which is your points are valid. I respect your points. But what are you suggesting? What can you do para, kasi wag naman yung, dedemanda ko kayo kasi publicly sasabihin ng tao, nga, nagdemanda ka, di ka naman nakatulong. What are you recommending?
Dito makakatulong tayo kasi may iwasan natin yung kapahamakan ng maraming mga mananakay. I'm sure, sabi ko nga sa kanila, kung hindi ako concerned, pababayaan ko na lang sila at alam ko naman in 2 to 3 months, ma-realize nila yung kalokohan nila. Pero actually, meron naman tayong mga pinopropose na yung long-term solution is actually the implementation of the 2016 BRT system.
Okay.
Alam na, ano na yan hindi naman yan buong mundo ginagawa na yan buong mundo, mas mahirap ang mga bansa sa atin ng mga metropolis, ginagawa na yan. Dito lang natin, hindi natin ma-implement. Hindi ko alam kung bakit. Second, sabi ko, actually may proposal ako noon. Sabi ko, kaysa yung EDSA bus system nyo sa gitna, ang gawin natin, ang importante naman, maihatid natin yung ating mga workers. Pre-COVID. Meron naman silang study. Hindi naman yung mga public transport ang problema dyan sa EDSA. Ang problema sa EDSA, private vehicles. There are about 300,000 private vehicles passing EDSA every day. Ang number of passengers per vehicle, ang average is 1.5. So 300,000 times 1.5 is only 450,000. There are only 4,000 buses passing EDSA times 50. Times 50. Mas marami yung natatransport ng 4,000 buses kaysa 300,000 private vehicles. So kaya nga yung mga 83% ng ating mga workers walang sasakyan. 13% lang yung may sasakyan. So sabi ko sa kanila, habang hindi pa tapos yung mga big projects, big ticket projects natin, bakit hindi natin gawing yung EDSA as public mass transport highway for at least 6 hours a day? 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. hayaan natin puro public transport lang. Mass public transport lang. Buses, UBs, yan lang ang dadaan sa EDSA. Maluwag ng maluwag yan. Wala pang 1 oras from Monumento to the end of EDSA. Nandun na, nakarating na, makakaikot. Maihatid natin yung ating mga workers walang sasakyan.
Okay. Pero Kong, I think you would agree that nowadays that's asking for the moon o imposible mangyayari yan because most of those private vehicle owners and commuters will not ride those buses. Sasabihin sa'yo, Kong, ikaw muna sumakay ng bus at baka kami matepok dyan.
Kaya nga, yung private vehicle owners may 4 na option. Ano yung 4? One, yung mga walang sasakyan, ngayon umaalis siya ng 4:00 ng madaling araw para lang makarating ng 8:00 dun sa kanilang mga tanggapan.
Mm.
That's the majority of the population. We cater for the majority. So,
Mhm.
kung ikaw, private vehicle, di umalis ka ng bago mag 6:00 para magamit mo yung EDSA. EDSA lang, ha?
Mhm. Mhm.
O kaya, kung ayaw mo naman, gusto mo umalis ng mas late sa 6 a.m., gumamit ka ng alternate routes.
Alam mo, hindi. Alam mo kung baka meron kang na-jackpotan na sa idea diyan. Kasi may nagsabi sa akin guest namin, gumawa tayo ng 2 shifts. Merong papasok ng maaga, merong papasok ng later shift. Kasi sinasabi mo, 6 to 9 yung masa. Yung 9 to sawa, yun na
Exec-
yung mga executives.
Oo. So sabi ko, 9 naman, o di umalis ka after 9, gamitin mo yung
Mm.
EDSA. Tapos, number four, kung makikita naman na, biro mo, 4,000 o 8,000 o 12,000 buses na yung dyan sa EDSA, maluwag na maluwag yan. Tapos may mga modern buses tayo,
Mm.
baka kung sakyan ka, baka hindi ka na magdala, sumakay ka na lang ng bus,
Okay.
makakatipid ka sa gasolina, makakatipid ka pa sa parking fee.
Okay, ngayon, kung okay na lahat yan, ano? Okay lahat yung suggestion mo. Ang problema, many people are now scared to get into public transport because it is apparently one of the reasons kung paano tayo nagkakaroon ng community transmission.
Yes.
Yun nga ang mga ano natin, mass transit natin eh. Pati mga empleyado nila, puro tinamaan na lahat ng COVID. How do you reconcile that? Paano natin pagtatagpuin yun na public safety, public mobility, and health protocol?
Yes, actually that suggestion was done pre-COVID. Actually,
Mhm.
there was serious talks about it, and there are many traffic experts who endorsed my idea na i-transform niya at least 6 hours a day ang EDSA into a mass transport highway. Pero siyempre ngayon nagkaroon tayo ng COVID at limited yung transport natin. So hindi sa ngayon naman talagang magaan ang traffic natin because of 43% o
Mm.
45% ating mga workers na wala ng trabaho.
Trabaho.
Employment natin 45%. So siguro ang pinakamagandang paraan diyan ay talagang dagdagan nila yung public transport para magkaroon ng social distancing.
Okay,
Ah,
kung pahabol lang 'no, kasi paubos na yung oras natin. Ewan ko kung nagbibisikleta ka pa, itong edad natin na ito kung nakakabisikleta ka pa. Pero kahapon kasi nung hinatid ko yung mag-ina ko sa airport, nakita ko, yung from the NAIA all the way to dito sa Pasig, kita ko talaga akala mo Christmas tree yung right lane, puro nagbi-blink, nagfla-flasher, mga nagbibisikleta. And sabi ko, this is beginning to work, it is beginning to take root, pero parang siguro ito yung dapat muna natin bigyan ng pansin, yung protection ng mga nakabisikleta at saka nakamotorsiklo. Do you have any plans regarding this?
Pinag-usapan namin yan sa Kongreso. We all agree that there must be bicycle lanes in
Mm.
except for yung mga major highways like EDSA. Sa EDSA medyo dinidiscourage namin dahil alam naman namin na actually maraming namamatay na nagbibisikleta sa EDSA dahil sa dami ng sa dami ng mga
Pero kung
ah,
no choice yung iba kasi kung alam mo, unless buksan, biyakin natin yung harapan ng magsimula ka ng Camp Aguinaldo, Camp Crame, Corinthians, Dasmariñas, Forbes Park, walang dadaanan yung ibang tao kung hindi doon talaga sa EDSA dahil naka-block na yung malalaking lupain dyan to private villages, mga Valle Verde, etc.
may pinopropose kami na from north to south, na mga bicycle lanes na without passing through EDSA. Kasi
Mhm.
yung talaga nakita mo naman halo-halo na diyan eh. Yung mga private vehicles na aksidente, yung motorcycle deaths ang taas diyan sa EDSA. So dadagdagan pa natin ng bicycle diyan sa EDSA. Parang hindi ko ma-imagine eh. How can
No,
they
siguro we can reschedule for another time, Kong,
Yeah.
kasi pasensya ka na. My wife is from Holland and I have gone to Holland so many times and they have all kinds of bicycle lanes and it can work. Pero ika nga nila, we have to stop thinking lanes eh. We have to start thinking infrastructure. Kasi dito lane, pag sinabing lane, pipintahan lang eh. Lane na eh.
meron ng mga may mga studies na tungkol diyan.
Hmm.
O yung mga big ticket projects for transport hindi naman na-implement. Kaya ang ginagawa natin mga band-aid solutions. Kaya
Nako,
nagka-problema natin.
pakipokpok mo na lang yung BRT na yan, Kong. At kasi kung walang pupukpok, kesa sa sayangin mo, oras mo nagdidemanda, pukpukin mo na lang yung BRT, Kong. May power of the purse naman kayo. Thank you very much, Congressman Erice. Okay, yan po si Congressman Edgar Erice, nako, kinakalma ko siya kasi I really do, even in the Bible, it tells us, don't go to court, don't sue each other, work together. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk to another gentleman who will talk to us about another concern. Ito naman yung mga pinoproblema ninyong may utang kayo sa babayaran para sa bahay nyo, kotse, and whatever else. We will be speaking with Francis Lim of the Management Association of the Philippines. Nga ba yun? Tama, Management Association of the Philippines. Kasi alam ko lang MAP. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV or One News PH on Facebook, One News PH on YouTube. At kung wala pa kayong Signal TV, mag-subscribe na para kasama ng NBA at pati yung mga bagong programa ng TV5 at iba pa. In any case, reacting to the stuff that Congressman Erice mentioned earlier, totoo po yun. 2016 pa lang, there was already a plan for a BRT, bus rapid transit system on EDSA. In fact, I think they were even supposed to do that in Cebu or have done it already in Cebu, have started on it in Cebu City. And that was in response for the anticipated congestion. Now, they even actually got a study, sabi nga, from NEDA, from ADB, there were loans being made available, and San Miguel was ready to go with it. Now, the reality is COVID has redefined everything. Pati yung ating paggalaw, paglakad, pagbiyahe. And I think it is something that needs to be addressed by the government as a whole, as a country, or as a NCR. At pag-usapan, paano ba tayong lahat magtatagpo-tagpo? How can we all meet up? How can we all come up with a system that we can all live with? Kasi there are people who will not take the bus. Bisikleta lang kasi may exercise na, nakatipid pa sila. There are people who are perfectly happy with their motorcycles, their little joys in life. There are people who want to stay in their cars because they feel secure in their cars. And there are people who will simply take the bus because that's all they can afford. So the thing is, we need to recognize and respect each and every concern. Now, speaking of respecting, recognizing each other's concern, let's speak to Francis Lim, President of the Management Association of the Philippines, also former President and CEO of the Philippine Stock Exchange. Hindi po ito highly mental, ano? Medyo tungkol lang ito sa pautang, sa mga inutang at pinoproblemang babayaran. Francis, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Sito.
Okay, Francis, last week kasi medyo uminit yung usapan na yan because apparently under Bayanihan 2, there was a proposal by numerous congressmen na yung mga utang, loans, mortgages, be placed, payments be on moratorium for 365 days. Are we talking about interest payments? Are we talking about penalty payments? Or are we talking about payments period?
Payments, it's moratorium payments, Sito. In other words, kung may utang ka, hindi mo kailangan bayaran yung kapital at saka interest, no? Although the interest will continue to run, no? Pero wala kang penalty dahil because of the moratorium.
Okay, ngayon, gagawin kitang Professor Lim, kasi ito yung tanong eh. Sir, bakit ganun? Why is it that there are so many versions, so many different computations? Secretary Sani Dominguez said 30 days is fine. Yun na yung maximum. Some people said 45 days. The congressman said 365 days. And your organization, Management Association of the Philippines, are pushing for 60 days. And I think yun yata yung lumabas, 60 days. Bakit ganun, sir?
Sito, ang sinuportahan namin yung 30 days ng Senate version. Pero nilalabanan namin yung 1 year because that will be detrimental to the banking industry. Pero I think what is shaping up in the bicameral conference committee is instead of 30 days under the Senate version or 365 days under the House version, I think the growing consensus is 60 days. So sabi namin, kung hindi talaga pwedeng 30 days, hindi pwedeng 365 days, yung 60 days is a good compromise, but with one proviso, yung one-time non-extendable. Pwede namin yun, no? And I think that should also be acceptable to the banking industry.
Wala bang science? Wala bang science yan? Are there no, cases, case studies, or actual history that people can go to, much like the Bible, punta ka sa Bible if it's spiritual, dyan sa money matters, kasi parang sabi ko, ba't ganun? Ang lalayo nung kanilang mga numbers.
Parang sa hangin, no?
Oh.
Alam na science, no? It's really the capacity of our banking industry to grant reprieve, no? Pero ang sinasabi ng BSP, to which we agree, at saka ng Secretary ng Finance, na pag mahabang-mahaba yan, you're putting at risk the ability of our bank system to service withdrawals and possibly the viability of the whole banking system. As a negosyo, ang mga businesses, may deposito yan sa mga bangko, di ba? Under the law, withdrawable at will yan. Pinahiram yung at least 80% siguro no, of our bank deposits sa public. No? So pag hindi makokolekta ng public, saan kukuha ang bangko pang service ng withdrawals?
Yun na nga, sagutin mo na nga yung tanong mo, Francis, kasi okay, nagbigay ako ng pera, hindi ako nagbigay, nagtago ako ng pera sa bangko. Ngayon, at any given time, I should be allowed, I can to withdraw. Ngayon, sinasabi mo, 80% ng kabuoang nilalagay, deposito sa bangko, pinapahiram ng mga bangko.
Oh, ganun. Yan ang dynamics sa
Paikot.
paikot. Oo.
Okay. O ngayon, nagpaikot sila, 20% na lang ang cash on hand available, 80% nakapautang. Ngayon, biglang sabi ni Juan, ni Pedro at ni Jose, 30 days moratorium, 45, 365 days. Pag tinuloy yung 365 days, walang makukuha ang pera sa bangko dahil nasa pautang lahat.
Sa pautang na hindi makolekta because of the 365 days moratorium.
Okay. Ngayon, parang okay, naintindihan ko yung sinasabi mo. Okay, pero bakit 60? Bakit hindi 30? Sabi ni Sunny Dominguez, dapat 30 lang. O kayo, sabi nyo, sige, pwedeng 60, pero non-extendable one-time offer.
May 20% cushion, di ba? Kasi 80% lang yung napahiram, di ba?
Oo.
May mga reserve requirement pa. I think that's where the banking industry is coming from. No? So may kunting leeway sila. Pero wag naman yung 365 days or 6 months or whatever. No? It's really a balancing act. No? I really don't know if there's science to it, but I guess when the BSP and the BAP, no, Bankers Association the Philippines came up with that position, they have data to back them up. I really don't know what the data are, Sito.
Okay, now, ang tanong ko, what is the situation? Kasi hindi naman ako mahilig din sa mga banking eh. Wala naman tayo masyadong nakatago dyan. Pero I heard that the loans, yung tinatawag nilang bad loans,
Okay.
has been the worst in so many years. This year, parang ang dami raw talagang hindi maservisan o hindi na naservisan o nabayaran. How does that affect the system?
Kung hindi nakakabayad yung mga yung mga humiram or the borrowers, I think it will give rise, and I think it has already started to give rise to what is called non-performing assets. Ibig sabihin na nakatali yung yung loans, walang nakokolekta, and that will affect the banking industry, and that situation will be aggravated if you have another 365 days, no? Na imagine mo hindi makakakolekta ang bangko ng loans for 1 year. So lalaki yung so-called non-performing loans o yung bad debts. Okay? Kaya nga part of the stimulus package na pinropose rin namin yung tinatawag yung ginawa natin nung early 2000 yung Special Purpose Vehicles Act na kung may bad asset ang bangko, non-performing loans, pwede nila itinda yan para ma-liquefy nila. Give tax incentives to help the banking industry. Nangyari na yan nung 1997 crisis, no? Nakatali yung mga pera ng bangko sa mga bad assets or bad loans, no? So Congress at that time came up with what is called the Special Purpose Vehicles Act to encourage the banks to liquefy those bad loans so that they have something to relent to the economy.
Okay.
Nakita ko yung Bayanihan 2, and there is a provision there that tries to resurrect the Special Purpose Vehicles Act, Sito, no?
Okay, ang question is this, okay? You cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip.
Yes.
If people don't have jobs, if companies are shut down, if coronavirus has basically, and I'm not wishing this on our country. Every night, every day, I pray for our country. In fact, this morning talagang I went on my knees asking Jesus Christ for relief kasi awang-awa na ako sa bayan natin. But having said all that, you cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip. So what happens? Pwede kang humila ng kotse, hindi mo pwedeng hilahin ng bahay. What can government or what should business, banking, and government start looking into? Because the situation's not getting prettier by the day all over the world. Balik ng balik itong buwisit na virus na to, itong sinasabi ni Presidente, hindi mo rin maiwasan na hindi rin makatrabaho ang tao. paano na ngayon? What should we prepare for?
Kaya nga, Citos, it's a whole of nation approach. The government do it alone. We citizens have to cooperate. No? For example, yung health protocols, social distancing, was as simple as wearing a mask. No? Yun ang pwede natin magawa, and minimizing going out if not necessary. Para at least mag-cooperate talaga to minimize the impact of this what the president calls virus, no?
Yeah.
Ngayon, Congress has come up with the Bayanihan 1 to put money especially in the hands of the poor para at least hindi magkagulo and may pagkain sila kasi pag may social unrest, laling lumalala tayo. And that is also part of the purpose of Bayanihan 2, no? Yung Bayanihan 2 will give money to the critical affected sectors, among others like MSMEs. Okay, they will give some grants to employers who will keep their workplaces open so that makapagsweldo sila, ganun. At the same time, yung Bayanihan 2 ina-address yung health aspect ng virus na ito dahil I think we have to strengthen our healthcare system para at least kasi as
Pero yeah, Francis, pero anong gagawin ng isang ordinaryong tao? What is a regular guy? You, me, kunyari may utang tayo, may mortgage ka, o kaya may binili kang kotse. Hindi mo naman pwedeng ibalik dun sa dealership yung kotse mo. Tapos hindi naman kukunin ng bangko yung kotse kasi kalokohan ng manghila ka ng manghila, magagaya tayo sa Amerika noon. I remember back in, I think it was the 80s, when the banks kept, just accepting farms as mortgages, and when the entire agricultural sector bellied up because of a financial, I don't know if it was 80s or what decade it was, banks realized, we cannot rest assured in having these collaterals na naging non-performing assets. They had to go back to the farmers and teach farmers how to run their companies, how to turn their profits, and save the banks as well. Dito, paano gagawin natin dito na yung marami namang matino, ang Pilipino matino eh. Ang Pilipino disente, and we will pay our loans, our commitments. But
hindi lang nila kaya talaga.
wala na. Paano ngayon?
Nakausap ko mga bankero dyan, no? Yung tanong mo, tinanong ko sa mga bankero, anong gagawin nyo kung wala talagang pera, yung negosyo, ba? Alam mo, sila Francis, I think 1997, 2008, may similar although to a much lesser extent or degree. Ang ginawa ng bangko on a voluntary basis, i-restructure nila yung loan. They give as much time as possible to the clients kasi sila nakakakilala ng capability ng kliyente nila. No? Kung wala sila makokolekta, i-restructure nila yan. I've been in practice of insolvency law, rehabilitation law for years, and that has been the attitude of the banks. They really go out of their way to help their clients because without their clients, they have nothing to make nobody to make money from. So it's also to the interest of the banking sector to bend over backwards to accommodate the clients depending on the situation of each particular client. Kung wala talagang wala talagang pera yung kliyente nila, as you correctly put it, hindi nila pwede mahila yung kotse dahil may storage fees pa yan. Okay? Lalong gagastos sila, di ba?
Correct.
So the bankers, based on my experience, have a very practical approach to this, but not to legislate it. It's a one size fits all, no? Because kanya-kanyang sitwasyon ng borrower siya, no?
What about Francis? And pasensya ka na, I need to questions. Parang iniisip ko yung nasa utak ng mga ordinaryong tao eh. Sito, kuyang, kaya namin bayaran yung utang. Pero pwede bang wala ng interest, ibalik na lang namin yung principal, kumbaga kasi di ba, may utang ka and then may interest yun. But given the scenario, kung magre-restructure rin naman kayo, di-waive nyo na lang lahat sa mga interest. What if some congressman decides, Francis, na, okay, let's have a compromise. Banks can collect all of the principals, pero wala ng interest kasi it's absurd to look for interest or profit nowadays. How would that affect the banking system relative to the claim that the banking industry is awash with cash. Sobrang daming pera na nakatago sa mga bangko, walang gumagalaw ng mga negosyo, walang umuutang, etc.
Alam mo yung awash with cash, a big part of that are deposits of people like you and me.
Hmm.
Pera ng taong bayan yan. Okay? So, yung sinasabi na, okay, bayaran na lang natin yung principal, siguro pwede yan kung lump sum payment, but I don't think that's practical, no? Pero kung hindi babayaran ng interest, parang for me, I'm talking as a lawyer,
Yeah.
deprivation of property because saan ba kukuhang bangko pagbayad ng interest sa depositors kung walang interest yung mga loans nila? Saan kukuha pang sa service ng bank deposits, ng withdrawal? Saan kukuha ang bangko pang maintain ng mga premises nila? So I think may constitutional issue kung hindi pagbabayaran ang depositors ang borrowers ng interest. Ang pwede mangyari yan siguro, and I've seen this in the past, even the interest are subject to restructuring, Sito. Waive yung penalties by way of agreement depending on the particular situation of a specific borrower. Waive yung surcharges, but pero ina-amortize rin, no, together with the principal yung interest, no.
Okay, Professor, pakituruan mo na nga kami, no? Kasi marami dyan sigurado. Ako, boss, wala akong utang. Hindi ako muutang. Takot ako sa utang eh. Hindi ako makakatulog pag may utang, no? But para dun sa mga may babayarang bahay, babayarang kotse, babayarang equipment sa opisina, whatever, kung nakita mo ng patay, wala na akong negosyo, wala pa akong trabaho, may utang pa ako, should they already start sitting down or communicating with their bank manager, their account manager, at sabihin, ganito yung status ko, paano ba ang pwede? Kasi may mga sinabi kang pwedeng mag-restructure, pwedeng i-waive ang surcharges, etc. Mayroong bank interest lang. Paano ba ginagawa yan? Ano ang dapat gawin or marirecommend mo sa viewers natin, attorney?
Tama yung sinabi mo. The earlier, the better they engage nila yung bankers nila. Yan ang practical na solution. Kasi yung mga bangko, minomonitor nila talaga yung borrowers nila, part of the risk management mechanism, and alam nila talaga yung situation or where their borrowers are coming from in the event that, let's say, borrower A goes to them for asking for a restructuring. And I got the assurance of the BAP president that they will really be to be as accommodating as possible because everybody knows that everybody is into this pandemic which nobody has foreseen, or even if foreseen, it's unavoidable, no? So yun, I think tama ka, Sito, na i-engage mo na yung bankero mo.
Anong terms ang dapat i-push mo? Siyempre, babayaran mo yung principal, yung pinakautang, babayad ka pa rin ng interest. Okay, pero ano yung sinasabi mong ipa-waive na yung surcharges, penalties, etc.? Ganun ang usapan.
Effectively, yun ang sinasabi ng bayanihan to, no? Walang interest on interest, which refer to surcharges or penalties, no?
Okay.
So legally doable yan, no? So let's say, pero yung term sinasabi mo, instead of 5 years, di ba? Pwede ko 7 years, 8 years, negotiation na yun. And your banker will know where you're coming from because you have been the client for a long time. Kasi maraming ganyan eh. So, but ang masama yung ile-legislate na yung one size fits all, no? Talagang tayo. I think it's a case-to-case basis. I know it's a lot of work, no, for the bankers. And I think that's part of the challenge, no? Maraming businesses na talagang hindi nila kaya. For example, yung paano naman makakabayad yan kung walang lumilipad, di ba? Wala yung income nila. So,
Francis, last question ko na lang, no? Kasi in fairness to you naman, you gave us your time this morning. Paki-explain nga sa mga viewers natin, ano ba yung Management Association of the Philippines? Kasi pag sinabi mong feeling ko, puro kayo manager, nagsama-sama, puro kayo mga business owner, nagpulong-pulong. Ano ba yung Management Association of the Philippines?
It's really an organization composed of the top echelon of business, or CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and no. We have also give government officials in our midst, no. That's why there's a very good interaction. We have managers, we have SMEs. Uh, Parang at least it's really business, no. It's in a business organization, Sito, no. That's
Mm.
why whenever an issue directly and substantially affects business like this one, where we believe that our deposits are at risk, that we come out strongly, against any measure. No? That's part of our advocacy, no? To protect the economy in general. No? Because by protecting the economy, we're protecting ourselves. No? I think, for example, itong issue na ito na 365 days, it will not only affect the banking industry, it will affect the macro economy. Kaya we came out as a business sector or organization very strongly against the 365-day reprieve for payment of loans, Sito. No?
Okay, well,
Pero
thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Francis, kasi kanya ka rin namin na pinahanap kasi at least maintindihan ng mga tao bakit hindi nyo sinuportahan yung 365 days. Kasi siyempre may mga tao, hindi makakatulong sa amin, makakatulong nga sa kanila, makakadisgrasya naman ng buong bansa at ng buong ekonomiya. Okay, please, if there's any time that you would need to air any views or concerns, please call us because we appreciate people like you and groups like you who are independent, non-political, and have the interests of the country at heart. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis
We will
Lim.
do that. Maraming salamat, Sito.
Okay, that's Attorney Francis Lim of the Management Association of the Philippines. Ayan po, no? Kasi baka mamaya masamain ninyo. You might feel bad that the Management Association of the Philippines ran counter to the proposal of congressmen na yung moratorium on all loans for 365 days. Nga pala, si Secretary Sani Dominguez, hindi naman 30 days, 45 days tama na raw. Ang sabi ngayon ng mukhang lalabas 60 days moratorium. And hindi po pwedeng 365 kasi po katulad ko, katulad nyo, lahat tayo nagde-deposito sa bangko. We are all bank depositors. When we go to the bank and withdraw money, it would be nice and it is expected that there will be money coming to us through the ATM or through the counter. If we do the 365, all the money is out there, locked down, and nowhere to go. So in any case, that's a good explanation on the part of MAP, Management Association of the Philippines. We'll go for a quick break. And after the break, we'll go to my friend Andrew Masigan, fellow columnist in the Philippine Star, and our senior economic concern advisor here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250, as well as One News PH on Facebook and YouTube. Tandaan niyo po, One News PH. Okay, now, bago po tayo magsimula, before we go to our next interview, I just want to express my thanks and gratitude to Mr. Marco Borlongan of PLDT, because he has constantly been supporting us, supporting the show, and also helping our viewers get the PLDT connection. And actually, meron nga lumapit sa akin, kaya pahirapan dahil ang dami na po sa inyo gustong magpakabit ng PLDT fiber. Eh, syempre, pag lahat bigla nagpunta sabay-sabay na ganon, medyo nagkakaroon ng kumbaga nabubulunan ang sistema. But Marco Borlongan and the PLDT team, thank you very much, because you've been really helping us. I actually now have connection even in Lipa, and hopefully one of these days we'll do a program out of Lipa when we are permitted by the authorities. Okay, now let's go on to our next interview. A columnist from Business World. He is also CEO of Advent Manila Hospitality Group, and also columnist of the Philippine Star, none other than my friend Andrew Masigan. Andrew, are you there, buddy?
Yes, good morning, Cito. Thank you for inviting me again.
Well,
Pleasure to be here.
thank you for joining us, making time for us. Mukhang abroad na tayo sa fraternity kasi yung anak ko nag-abroad na kagabi, mag-aaral na. So anyway,
Congratulations on that. Huh?
so I have to take tips from you how to exist with your beloved daughter being abroad. In any case, okay, I assume you've picked up on some of the topics we've been interviewing our guests from. And the question, I'm confused, and I think a lot of people are confused, Andrew, because the president will say, wala nang pera. Then Ben Jokno will say, our numbers are good, our banking system is good, our dollars are a lot. And some people will say, well, no, there's money. We just need a law from Congress. What can you help us understand this?
No, the situation, Cito, is that I would go with the, I would go with the statement of BSP Governor Diokno. He's more accurate in the sense that let's talk about what we have, no? What's tangible. We have in our national treasury as much as $92 billion in reserve. So that is enough to finance our imports until 8 months. So may pera dyan, okay? And over and above that, our debt to GDP ratio is one of the lowest sa region. Before COVID, nasa 39% lang ang debt natin, our debt to GDP. And after COVID, we're looking at about 49%, which is at the level of Malaysia. So in other words, think of us like a business na very low yung, konti lang yung utang ng kumpanya at meron pa tayong mga credit line na magpagkukunan. So I would like to think, or from where I sit, the country has money. So I think the bigger issue of government at this point is how to cascade it to the beneficiaries that need it most. That's more the issue.
Now, you being an economist, kasi meron ditong business and versus emotion. Yung business is survival, emotion is yung tao. Some people have said, aanhin mo yung economy mo kung patay yung mga tao or gutom na gutom, and if your people are suffering, you can kiss your economy goodbye. So, as an economist, how should the president or our leaders play this card? Who should get what?
I think the people, all right, the people has precedence for overall, no? Because the government must work for the people. What I see as the weak point ngayon, Cito, is the business sector, lalo na yung mga MSMEs, okay? Remember that MSMEs comprise 99.6% of the entire economy. Kumbaga, yung small businesses are the backbone. Backbone sila ng business. Now, if they're allowed to die, or if majority of them are allowed to go insolvent, then what you will have is an economy without without a backbone and without legs. When the dust settles and when this pandemic is over, then you will have a very weak an economy with very weak foundation, and that's what I'm most worried about, to tell you honestly. Kasi the
Mhm.
number of closures ngayon is unprecedented. Talagang very very alarming. The DTI says that the closures are less than 10% of all the MSMEs, but I don't think that is really accurate. Um,
Actually sabi nga nila Andrew 26 na eh. Last official na well not official pero parang nasabi ni Secretary Mon Lopez
Lopez.
na uy 26% parang na-shock rin nga siya eh.
Oh,
So, oh.
26% ang closures, you mean, ang
Mm.
closures and insolvency. I have to relate this to unemployment. Kasi sinasabi nga ng some government institution says that the number of closures are less than 10% of all the MSMEs. Pero on the other hand, let's look at unemployment. Sito,
Mm.
yung unemployment natin nasa 7.991 million as of end of June. That's 16% of our labor force. So you have to, naka-proportion yan. You have to look, 16% of our labor force, nawala na ng trabaho, imposible na 10% lang ang closures. That's really impossible. So
Yeah.
I estimate it to be between 20 to 25%. And I'm not alone here. Even the De La Salle Business School estimates the same. Na
Okay, now
20 to 25% of MSMEs have already declared bankruptcy or insolvency.
okay, now chicken and the egg situation. We want to save all the MSMEs so that we can save the jobs, but the people aren't going out, can't go out, won't go out. So may mga nagsasabi, build. Pero eto na rin, like in tourism, Andrew,
Mm.
happy na yung tourism sector eh, na wow, there's going to be 10 billion coming our way to save all of us. And then biglang sabi nung isang magaling na congressman, realign natin, gawin nating infrastructure. On tourism pa rin, pero infrastructure. Medyo napikon ako doon.
I wrote a very strong piece about that, Sito. Napakasakit.
Oh.
Because one of the hardest hit, as you know, is the tourism sector. 10
Yeah.
billion is the 10 billion fund is meant to save yung mga maliliit, the small resort owners, the spa operators, mga maliliit na restaurants. They are the one who needs it most. Now, diretsuhan na tayo. Yung 10 billion na yan was diverted to infrastructure fund through TESDA, which is really another way of saying pwede natin paghatian yan as pork barrel fund.
Through
Diretsuhan
TIESA.
I'm sorry, TIESA.
Yeah.
Diretsuhan na tayo. This is not the time to take advantage of the mga maliliit. This is the time to unite and build each other up. You know.
Hindi, tsaka hindi
Advantage
lang
of the spoils.
yeah, hindi lang pork barrel, Andrew, and I think we're aligned on this one. It's also a way of some politicians sasabihin nila, hindi, going infrastructure, pero yung kalsada gagawin doon sa teritoryo nila. It is self-serving, politically beneficial realignment of funds, but detrimental, if not lethal to the tourism.
Yeah, but the 10 billion, but that's not where the 10 billion is needed. The 10 billion is needed to save the small companies, not for infrastructure. Ang masakit ito, nakapasa ito sa Congress from third reading. Ano ba nang ginagawa ng Speaker of the House natin? I mean, he's an abettor of the act, no? I mean, it's come to a point, Sito, na it's nakakasuka na eh. Kaya, I would normally be very I'd be normally very diplomatic about it, but I mean, you don't rape a country when she's on her knees, 'di ba? So masakit 'tong ginagawa ng Congress.
Okay, now that is all one area, one industry.
Yes.
But apparently now there is some push-pull between build, or saving MSMEs. may mga nagsasabi kasi, Andrew, that we need to save the big corporations, the big businesses. But how many do they employ? And what would be their impact? Kasi parang may feeling ko naman, dami-dami yung pera. Every year na lang, nagyayabang kayo na year on year, quarter, billion ang profit nyo. And now, the politicians are saying, let's save big business. I mean, what is this?
Yeah, you know what? The real number. It's a good thing, no? That kasusulat ko lang nito, so the numbers are still fresh in my mind. 28%, 28% of our labor force. Ang labor force natin dito is 47 million people. So 28% of that is attributed sa conglomerate and large category. The rest are small businesses. So MSMEs. So talagang the concentration is in the MSMEs, no? And okay, they have to be saved before build. Okay, build is only a way to save MSEs. So if you can save MSMEs at the get-go, i-save mo na, di ba? Kasi what build does is that it pumps money into the economy so that they can employ the workers, the construction workers, etc. And this is supposed to ignite consumer spending, which will save MSMEs. Pero if you can give a lifeline already to the MSMEs in the first place, yun ang gawin ninyo. That's not happening, Sito. And I'll tell you why, okay?
Right.
The government is so glib when it says, it's so pompous when it says that we lowered reserve requirements so that there's a lot of liquidity in the system. We pumped in X billion to the banking system so that this can be accessed by the MSMEs. We have loan guarantees, etc. Okay. In other countries, the money goes directly to the MSMEs. Okay. So literally see it in your bank account. This money, kunyari, sa Canada or Australia, this money, meron akong $2,000 dito. This is a payroll subsidy, okay? The company will not have to absorb the payroll for this month. Government is helping me. So hindi, okay? Kailangan utangin namin, okay? We have to go to the bank. Okay, it's not like we go to a window in government. Hindi ganon. It's through the banking system. So we have to go to the bank and go through the whole rigmarole of application, which Sito, takes months. Number one. Number two, banks, kasi nirelegate ng government to the banking system. Banks are they're private enterprises. So they're averse to companies in distress. They're averse to companies in the tourism sector or high-risk sector. In other words, they lend selectively. Ngayon, the people who need it most are not able to get financing because banks deny the loan. Because they're still looking at it as high risk ka eh. I'm not gonna lend you. Maski na government has given me so much liquidity, I'm not gonna lend you kasi high risk ka. Okay? So in effect, the companies still don't get their financing.
Andrew, question lang. Yung loans na sinasabi mo, kasi I think the slap in the face is when you are drowning, someone is asking you, can you sign here that you will give me all of your earthly possession if you die? But the second question is, are they charging interest? Kasi even Governor Art Yap said that on the program. Sito, okay lang na uutangin namin. Pero wag naman at 6%. Parang pinagkitahan pa kami. What about you in the private sector?
Nako, alam mo, kung 6%, okay na yan. Meron mga iba that are going for 8% or 8.5% and borrowing from a unibank, ha? No, there's no interest reprieve, Sito. No such thing. No such thing. Okay. And now this is the painful thing. And this is reality, okay? You talk to any bank and they would the liquidity that is provided by government is not going to the small guys, or maybe a portion is going to the small guys para masabi lang nila. Pero the lion's share is going to the conglomerates. That, I'm sorry to say, is the truth. Why? Because you have conglomerates that are hindi Ayala, hindi San Miguel, pero a notch lower na medyo high risk, without mentioning names, di ba? Yung mga,
Anong mga businesses sila?
na, example, may isa baon na baon sa utang, nasa gasoline business, nasa logistics business, nasa sports car business, nasa fast food chain, kung ano-ano, di ba?
Oh. Papangalanan ko na.
Okay, wag na. Anyway, baon na baon sa utang, okay?
Oh.
Ngayon, it serves the banks greater interest to lend to him first or lend to that company first. Kasi kung tumaob yan, taob ang multi-billion loans to the bank are at risk. In other words, they can't afford him to fail.
Okay.
The bank will fail.
Liwanagin natin yan, ha? Kasi may mga nagkwento na sa akin ng iba-ibang version yan. Iba-iba ring company. Marami, may mga negosyante, nung tinatayo nila yung kanilang, sabi nga nung kaibigan ko si Ramon Ang, sabi kasi may tycoon at may typhoon. Itong mga typhoon, itong mga bagong dating, umutang para magtayo ng kanilang window dress na mga kumpanya, pinalaki, tapos kumuha ng political backers at kumuha ng mga PR para magmukhang malaki. So ito namang mga ibang bangko, pautang ng pautang, until one morning, nagising sila, teka, tagilid
Oo.
tagilid, kailangang suportahan ka dahil baka pati ako masama mo sa impyerno. That's basically.
That's basically it. And that particular company we're speaking of is not alone. Maraming nasa kategorya na ganyan. And they owe banks in the billions. And the banks can't afford to have them default because sila matatenga. You know what I mean? They're too important to fail. That's why the bulk of financing goes to them, not to the small guys. And
what about banks, Andrew? Because I've heard of mega banks who are also into construction, development, mga condominiums, etc., real estate projects. Pati sila ngayon sa pool.
Unfortunately, well, the law prohibits them from borrowing from their own subsidiaries. That's DOSRI loan ang tawag doon. So hindi they are prohibited by the Bangko Sentral from borrowing from their own sister companies bank. So pero they can always borrow from another bank. So ibang story yan. And Tito, may I just add something?
Go
Kasi I've been getting a lot of calls. As you know, we're both columnists and we're both voices of the public. So ang daming tumatawag sa akin lately about mga policies ng DOLE. Kasi it seems naman na the private sector, lalo na yung mga MSMEs, are being made to shoulder the brunt of this anti-COVID response. For instance, baon na nga ito mga MSMEs trying to make things work, trying to survive, and yet we have to finance the testing of all our employees once a quarter. So ito 7,000 per employee. You know what? Some will be able to afford it, but the majority will not. I mean, how cavalier naman of DOLE to say, sige, private sector, bayaran nyo na yan, mandatory, di ba? That's too much in a time that everybody is struggling, number one. Number two, meron silang ginawang policy. In my building, for example, I'm in Ortigas Center. We're a 42-story building, okay? The policy is if one is positive, the whole building must shut down and all businesses therein must shut down for 48 hours. Sito naman, there are at least 1,000 corporations there that are building are building alone, 1,000 tenants with day-to-day um, obligations and conducting their business, trying to make uh, trying to make things work, trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And we have to be closed for 2 days. Imagine yung mga advertising agencies, imagine the call centers, walang revenue yan for 2 days.
Mm.
That's very, very, very drastic. Napaka anti-business. And I feel that this government is so cavalier in letting the private sector pick up the slack for its own inefficiency. Napaka unfair naman, di ba?
Mhm. Okay, well, that is unfortunate. No? Ngayon, maiba ako ng usapan. What is your reaction to the Shell refinery closing, the one in Batangas? Kasi parang may nagsabi sa akin, one, it is the prices of oil globally, the business is no longer sustainable. Pero may nagsabi rin sa akin na, paano naman, tinamaan ng lintik ang smuggling dito sa Pilipinas. Paano pa kami lalaban? Bagsak na presyo, puro pa smuggler.
Correct, correct. Alam mo, napakalaki ng loss sa atin yan. As it stands, our industrial sector, less than 30% na, 27% na lang yung manufacturing ng economy natin. Very, very thin na yung industrial sector. And mas magiging manipis pa yan. What is the impact on us? Number one, at least 2,000 employees lost. Number two, instead of exporting or saving on foreign exchange, now we have to import our oil, our refined gasoline. So sabihin mo na that's, I don't know, 15 billion, 20 billion a year, palabas ang pera niyan. Whereas before, it was papasok kasi we're exporting a certain amount. May papasok, tsaka walang labasan ng foreign exchange.
Can't Petron absorb that? Or masyadong malaki ang demand even for Petron?
Masyadong malaki yung demand for Petron. It's too big. Remember, although Petron has number one market share, no? The market challenger is Shell. I think he comprises more 1/4 of the market, no? Ang Shell. 1/4 of the 25% or so of market share. Napakalaking volume niyan, no? At ngayon, we have to buy our refined gasoline abroad. So, import na naman. So, look, we're importing everything. We're importing from China. Maski na our last Vicks inhaler, imported ito, okay? We have to balance that with something else. Ano yung pangbalanse natin? We have our exports paliit ng paliit. Number two,
wala na tayong OFW.
Tourism natin, sabog na. We were relying on OFWs. Pero even that is under compromise now. Kaya we can't really afford to lose more of our industrial sector. My God.
Do you see a situation, because this will have to be my last question, Andrew.
Yeah,
Do you see a situation where other companies will be buying or absorbing closing companies, specifically Channel 2, ABS-CBN, Shell Corporation? You see that happening, or are businessmen or corporations in the Philippines just really up to their necks with problems na parang I don't need an added headache?
Yeah. For ABS-CBN, for Shell and that level, kasi yung barrier to entry in those industries are very high. Kaya I don't have doubt may magpipick up yan. Someone will pick it up. Ang kawawa dito are the small ones. Kasi kunyari, spa owner ka in Boracay and na-bankrupt ka na, who'll buy you? Nobody will buy you, di ba?
Yeah.
They're the fatality. Sila talaga yung sila talaga yung matatamaan.
And marami sa kanila baon sa utang.
Oo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Not a big picture.
Okay, well, I've always tried to bring out a positive side, but right now it's just so hard to, dig through the charcoal, as they say. Thank you very much, Andrew.
You're very welcome, my friend, and all the best to Hannah. Huh? I'm so excited for her.
Yeah, so you're so excited for her. Everyone is congratulating my wife and my daughter for being abroad. No? Me home alone. Okay, thank you very much, amigo. Hope to
Take
talk to
care.
you again.
Sure, sure. Bye. Take
Okay.
care.
Okay, that's Mr. Andrew Masigan, columnist for both the Business World, the Philippine Star, and Restaurateur. And he has his hands on all the subject matters as far as economy is concerned. And well, that's about all we can do for the day. Baka masira na ng tuloy-tuloy yung mundo ninyo. But please, we bring out this information so that you can be better informed, so that you can make better decisions, and you have better opinions. Kasi po, baka mamaya mabubulaga kayo, itong kumpanyang to biglang nawala, itong kumpanyang to umarangkada bigla, etc. Hindi nyo alam yung mga inside story. Yung sinabi ko nga sa inyong, meron pong mga tycoons at may mga typhoon. Yung mga tycoon po, taon, dekada, ang binilang para maitayo yung kanilang mga kumpanya at kanilang mga reputasyon. They invested sweat, blood, and tears and years in building up who and what they have and what they are. The typhoons have simply done fast break here, fast break there, mamumulitiko, kakabit kung kani-kanino. And now, marami naman mga nasa business, nasa bangko, bilib na bilib, ngayon namumroblema kasi nako, mukhang yung typhoon, parang ano na lang, low pressure area na lang, hindi na po bagyo. Ayan po. Okay. Anyway, let's call it a day for today. I hope you have time to reflect. I just want to share something with you guys that might help. No, I picked it up from Andy Stanley. He's a preacher, American preacher, and he spoke of his friend Reggie Campbell who was dying. Binisita niya. Pagpunta niya dun sa bahay ng Reggie Campbell, merong whiteboard. There was a whiteboard. And he had what he was basically a to-do list. I mean, the guy is dying, but he had a to-do list. And he said his to-do list was to finish strong. Okay? Hindi po yung to make up, say sorry, get forgiveness. No, his to-do list was to finish strong. And he said, I will walk with Jesus every day. I will be grateful and live every day to the fullest. I will make sure to leave behind pictures, words, letters, videos to my loved ones, especially to my grandchildren, and including my song list and playlist. Then number 4, he said, I will invest on my small group of men, okay, for God's glory and not my glory. And then he said, I will let people love on me. Kahapon po, yung kaibigan ko, si Harvey De Baron, na na-interview ko on the show regarding health and wellness, actually texted me and said, I want to send you pre-packed food kasi mag-isa ka dyan para hindi ka na magluluto while your wife is away. And I kept saying, no. Kasi una, jahe, di ba? Hindi nyo alam yung salitang yun. Nakakahiya, embarrassing. But, when I listened to Andy Stanley this morning, he said, his friend said, I will let people love on me. It's a privilege. It's an honor to allow people to love on you. So, tatawagan ko si Harvey mamaya, magsusorry ako. And sasabihin ko, ano ba pwedeng makain during lunch? But last, I will not give up and run out the clock. Sabi niya, yes, namamatay na ako. Yes, masama ang sitwasyon. Pero hindi ako upo dito at hintayin ko na lang maubos yung oras. Hindi. He will lean in, he will stay in the fight, keep his faith, and faith is to finish strong. I hope you will finish strong. Don't let COVID defeat us. Don't give up. And I will share to you other thoughts like this in the coming days. Thank you very much. I'm Cito Beltran. Have a great day. God bless all of you. Remember to pray. That's all for Agenda.